Welcome to Invested Souls, the podcast where real estate expertise meets relationship growth.
And we're your hosts, the Flanagans. I'm Brad.
And I'm Jamie. This podcast is your chance to learn from our experiences and follow in our footsteps. Whether you're an entrepreneur, investor, or real estate professional, we've got the insights and strategies to help you elevate your wealth and achieve financial freedom.
But it's not just all about real estate. We believe that thriving in life means nurturing the relationships that matter most.
That's right. We'll be talking about how to balance your personal and professional life so you can create a fulfilling and prosperous future.
So join us on Invested Souls and let's grow together in wealth, relationships, and success.
Ready to elevate your life? Let's get started. Welcome to Invested Souls.
All right, welcome to Invested Souls. I'm here with James Brown. This is one of the most dynamic real estate professionals we've probably had on the show. He is also a host of a podcast, This Month in Real Estate Investing, co-host of another podcast. So he is, again, out there and dynamic, but he's based out of Colorado in Denver. He is the co-founder of Colorado Co-Living, the hybrid real estate investing model, and Accelerated Capital. Authored multiple books, so I am excited to dig in with him, get you some of these recommendations, and we really want to just share with you or go deep on the opportunity that lies in rent-to-own opportunities. James, take it away.
Awesome. Yeah.
Thanks for being here, man.
Yeah, we could go many directions like we were talking about before, like rent to own. We've gotten into co-living, which is also a big opportunity for agents and lenders that provide affordable housing. And then I'm a licensed realtor, so I'm doing regular transactions. But my focus has always been, since I got into real estate on the investing side, has been rent to own. I love helping people that got told no by the banks to be able to get a house, and then working as a team with lenders, other agents, like we're all kind of winning and helping people. So
absolutely. No, it's an enhancement to the community. And I always say, like, we have a responsibility as the real estate professionals to do everything we can to keep that local economy as strong as possible, get people to make good decisions. Obviously, everybody has to make money, but if we keep it consistent, then we don't have the lows. And if maybe we have to pass on some highs, but that consistency really is a game changer when you look at like just peace of mind, the career itself. So that's one of my, mottos, principles that I like to live by. What comes to mind to me in like the rent to own space, I've often seen the seller, the one that's actually owns the property and leases it to be owned, they have a fixed purchase price. And sometimes it's high for current market, which is to assume that it's going to appreciate. And then I've seen them where it's low and it's like, oh gosh, they may be passed on the opportunity of selling it for actual market value in the future. Do you have any philosophies or strategies around that?
Oh yeah, this is good. I also teach a 1 hour continuing education class for agents and lenders.
Okay.
About all this, because there's misconceptions about rent to own and some real reasons why to be cautious about it. And so in that class, I dig into like the right way to set them up. So let's talk about that. And we could talk about like the ideal client. We could really get deep. Don't want to.
It's unscripted.
I don't want to blab on for an hour and a half. Like, let's try to keep this concise because we can talk with anybody that has questions later, right?
But, absolutely.
Yeah. So there's two ways of doing rent to own. Either you have a house and then you make it available for rent to own and you go find a buyer. We've done that. That's one way. The other way that we do it, similar to some of the big companies that have just pulled out of the market, and that's where there's some huge opportunity for all of us in the business to get more business and use this tool to help people. So the way we do it, we have a buyer that we know can't get a loan from the bank. And if they're a good fit for our program, we'll go and buy a house for them, buy one on market. The nice thing about it is they get to pick out whatever's available on the MLS. They don't have to pick from a limited inventory. And the way things are now, stuff isn't sitting around. The market's shifting a little bit, but it's not like there's this just a pool of all these different types of properties, so you can just go pick whatever you want. It's actually better right now because we're not having to go pay over asking and waive inspections or any of that insanity. You know?
So true.
Yeah, so it's been wild. It's a nice time to be buying. But yeah, so part of our process is getting with a lender like yourself, going through the motions and finding out what's holding them back from getting a loan. And sometimes we find out that, hey, they can get a loan. Like, you're a lender, you know, like all the different programs. You're like, oh, shoot, I've got a down payment assistance program. Let's get them in a house now. Sometimes they just think that they can't get a loan, but that's why we go through that process. And also, if they can't get a loan, then we know, what they need to do to get a loan in the future and like how long it's going to take.
Time horizon. Yeah.
Because we need to know that, because there's three things money wise that are involved. How much money they have to pay up front, so it's an option fee, what their rent's going to be, and then their purchase price in the future. So we need to figure that all out, and also like how long to give them. Mm-hmm. So we don't want to put their back against the wall. We want to, once we know like what their situation is, we usually have a good idea. Like, it might take a year, 2, 3. Most of these rent-to-own deals are that. In fact, Texas, there's a limit. You can't go over 3 years. Probably for a reason. Mm. If you give somebody too much time, maybe they're kind of shaky on possibly getting a loan in the beginning. They might not complete. And then when they can't buy it, it's not good for them. It's not good for us in the business. Like, it reflects badly on us. And,
right. Then the relationship goes sour.
Yeah, right. And I think that's why a lot of lenders and agents have this fear over it, because they've heard bad things about rent-to-own because it was set up badly in the beginning. And so rightfully they're skeptical. So that's one reason I created that continuing education class. It's like, hey, let's dig into the right way to do it and the wrong way. And so they take off the blinders and they can see, like, whether they work with our company or some other company or an individual, at least they know, oh, okay, those guys aren't getting with a lender in the beginning. They've given them too long, or so
that's
lots
awesome.
of blab in there.
Is that something that somebody can attend virtually, or is it only in person? Your continuing ed.
I do both locally here in Colorado, where I am. Actually, we just recorded it, so EXP University on YouTube has it. So if you look up Demystify and Make Money with Rent to Own, I believe that's the title. So it's up there.
Beautiful.
Search my name, EXP University, and Demystify. It should pop up.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Do you tricks? Is there a special formula to determining, let's say, I don't know what the average is for you, but I've seen a lot of like 3-year balloon or 3-year expirations on the rent to own type of transaction, or even maybe a seller financing type of an arrangement where they're trying to predetermine what the value should be or what that final price will be 3 years from the day of this thing starting. Is there a general formula for it, or is it kind of more market knowledge based?
You know, what we do is we just look at what the historic appreciation is for a market. Sioux Falls might be 2% a year, right?
Yeah.
Where like here in Denver it could be 6.
Yep.
And so we kind of gauge it that way. And we're looking, oh, what do we think it's going to be in 3 years? No one has the crystal ball.
Yeah. Yeah.
COVID hit. We didn't know that was going to change things, which was a huge benefit to our rent-to-own buyers. Like, actually, we helped a real estate agent get a home. It was the first deal we ever did. He actually picked out a duplex, lived in one side.
Oh,
and
nice.
so the way it worked out, he was paying $400 a month because we had a locked in price with him this was in Minnesota. I think it might've been 4 or 5%, but the market went, phew, and he was able to buy it at that lower price. And so he walked into like 60 grand equity and was able to go he bought a single family home and then turned that duplex into a rental as a brand new agent. Like, he needed, 2 years income. I mean, that was a fantastic deal for him. But, market can go down, go flat. In that case, there's different things. We could extend the
I might actually have a client that we need to discuss, because he already owns the property. So let's say somebody's in a balloon and they own the property, and that balloon's going to come due, but they've made some whoopsies, and now they don't have the credit to traditionally qualify for the loan that they needed to get to satisfy the balloon obligation. Would you be able to have an opportunity for somebody that's in a situation like that? It's kind of like you're coming in and rescuing the deal. Otherwise, they have to sell the house.
Wait, he owns it, or
he owns it now with a non-traditional type of financing that had a balloon payment. He doesn't requalify through that investor to put it into another loan that he can term out or have another balloon, and he can't qualify for the traditional means. So he's just got to say, oh, well, now I got to sell the house so I can satisfy my debt. Now I have to potentially realize whatever gain, and he has some other penalties, and he has to find a house and buy it at today's market value when he maybe owned that for a couple years and has benefited from the appreciation. Is there a solution through your company that they could come in and say, hey, I need another 1, 2, 3 years?
Yeah, possibly. If there was, because he's going to need an option fee, non-refundable option consideration going to us. There's that. We have to figure that out. And then the seller, who he's got the option with currently, would have to let us step in at whatever price they've already got set, or maybe it's renegotiated, and we'd have to figure that out. So I definitely have to run comps and make sure whatever number we settle on, it's legit. Yeah.
No, that's interesting.
Yeah, totally. I love getting creative. I used to be a graphic designer, different type of creative, but now I'm in this.
That one wasn't stressful enough, right?
Yeah.
That's what's fun. And I mean, when you can be the calm in the storm too, because typically if you're working with somebody and they need to find a place to live and they can't find the place, so then they learn and look for opportunities, they discover this rent to own option. It can be a little more stressful than the average situation. So it's awesome to have been able to go through the stuff on our own and to just be that, I don't know, stable environment for them to jump on the call and just be like, oh, I'm so much more at ease now that we just had a simple conversation and set good expectations. Because a reoccurring theme, especially when you talk about people who are like sour about that rent to own story they heard, or really any real estate story they heard, chances are it revolved around communication in some way. Maybe the landlord, the investor communicated something that wasn't heard by the tenant. That's a lot for them to take in. It's a complex transaction, quite honestly. Like, especially if you're doing the acquisition at the same time, you're purchasing it, you're dealing with agents and sellers and title companies, maybe attorneys, if depending on the state that you're in, and if you so choose to, if tenants want to have that extra layer. Gosh, I can only imagine how easy it is for it to become that bad story, because we don't often take enough time to slow down and explain things. And I often tell a client, or maybe somewhere in a complex conversation, hey, I've forgotten more than most people know about this because I've just been doing it for 20 years and I've been through so many transactions. So please don't stop, or don't hesitate to stop me and like ask something that might seem like it's simple, because every bit of this is actually pretty complex and it's always changing. That's for sure.
Yes. Yeah, you nailed it there.
So if somebody works with you, do you have like the documentation? Do they have lease templates and stuff to go for? Or is that something that's pretty much customized on every transaction?
Everyone's a little different, yeah, but they're all pretty similar. So, like, speaking of that, so we have a lease. It's kind of specific to rent to own, but nothing that crazy. And then an option for them to buy, just 2 separate documents. They're only a handful of pages each. Now, one of the big companies that just got out of the market had a 79-page contract.
Holy cow.
That was incredible. It was pretty one-sided, and probably one of the reasons they got out of the market is that like they were landing in court and stuff because it just wasn't balanced. And so like we've had multiple attorneys look ours over, even on behalf of buyers. So it's nicely balanced. It's updated. Both of them are. Yeah, that's something to look out for. And we have a place for somebody to sign on behalf of the buyer and somebody to sign on behalf of us or one of our investors, just so there's somebody in each corner. Ideally, we're all going for the same thing. We're helping somebody buy, we're making money, everybody's happy.
And it's the ones who are in it for the duration aren't looking for the home run on every individual deal. It's like, as the investor, if you are the investor, look for base hits. They add up. And then it's not worth doing the wrong thing on one transaction, because if you do that, then you lose out on the opportunity to be in it for 10, 20 years. And that's where money is made, in the compounding of things. So for the investors, encourage you to be fair and reasonable in the way that you approach the business. And for the ones who are in the position that they just need to rent and they want to get themselves ready, just be serious about your responsibility to execute. It's not just the responsibility to make the payment. You've got to work on the credit to get yourself into that credit qualifying situation.
Yeah, if credit is an issue. Ideally, so just kind of to talk about the ideal client, self-employed, Hispanic community, great example. They don't trust banks. You know, they have cash businesses. Maybe they're not paying enough income. So their taxes are all wonky. Like they need to fix all that stuff and kind of get back on track, you know, but they make good money. They've got money to pay up front. They would love to own a home. And just any other self-employed people. We're self-employed. Banks don't love us. You know, you're a lender, right? But we can make good money. It's just there's more hoops to jump through and stuff. So that's ideal. Like just need to maybe flip the switch on things, start claiming more income, writing off every possible thing, kind of become, you know, better in the eyes of the lender. That's ideal. Like it's just time, not anything related to credit or debt to income and stuff, but
exactly.
We can look at all that. So Where the banks got all the check boxes, we can be a little more flexible but look at that big picture. And so as investors, we work with individual investors as well. We're just looking at that big picture and making an informed decision for ourselves.
It's a huge educational component because it's oftentimes that like sole proprietor or whatever, they have their Schedule C, they do it through TurboTax and they maximize what they're doing, but not really executing based on like true strategy that maybe your registered agent or your enrolled agent, I mean, or your CPA would actually advise. So then by tapping into the network, which is these professionals who just play the game maybe at a different level and execute certainly with a lot of strategy and have somebody, it's like, hey, here's the CPA that you could use. It's not required, but they're going to potentially, we've worked with them before and they know how to get you in ship shape within the next year or two. Fantastic, which is a great point because even I don't know about in your market, but we see a lot of like health and human services type positions where the property itself is actually one of the biggest determining factors in their ability to do the job that they get paid to do, which is take care of adults or children or whatever in the home itself. And so that's the instance where I've been involved in like a kind of a rent to own situation. They had a down payment. We identified the right property with the right amount of rooms so that they could have more patients under their care. And then that income comes in this taxed and non-taxed kind of fashion. And so they need time to get those finances in order in that house in order to document the history and qualify by traditional means. Huge, huge. And why investors need to collaborate with guys like you, guys like me, so they know what those resources are that help them get to their end result. I had a question for you that I now just lost. Oh, so in some guidelines, like FHA specifically, if they're in a rent to own and there's some amount to be credited towards the transaction, like portion of those payments that they were making, it has to be above and beyond what they consider to be market rent. And there's various methods that we go about to try to figure out what market rent is. But have you seen that? Is that an issue that comes up, and do you have any insights or solutions to it?
Yeah, that's a great question. This always does come up. And there's so much confusion about it. So let's just start with with our program, we're ideally finding people, like I said, self-employed, that have around 10% of the purchase price to pay up front.
Okay.
That's a lot of money. I get it. Especially like Colorado, or median price is $600,000-$700,000.
Yep.
That's 60, 70 grand. With our program, they're paying that money up front, but they're only paying basically market rent because they're prepaying an amount that should cover an FHA loan. Let me back up. That 10% is a full credit to them, okay? So when they go to get their loan, you as the lender can take that 10% and divvy it up. 3.5% FHA loan or 5% conventional or something. So that 10% can be used for that. Plus they're going to need money for closing costs, right? Maybe a little extra to get their payment down. So we give them full credit for that, right? But they've prepaid it. So again, that's prepaid. They're just paying market rent. Say market rent's $3,000, whatever. Depends on what market you are.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
Some programs don't require 10% upfront. One of the ones that got out of the market, they had a 1% down and a 2% down. Well, they didn't really advertise their 1%. So say they paid 2%, but they're still going to need to save up over time for that 3.5% or 5% down plus closing costs. So what they'll do is take market rent, say it's $3,000, and then they'll tack on an extra $200-$300 a month and that portion is being set aside. So it's kind of a forced savings plan.
Nice.
So that buyer's being forced to save that money up so that when they do need to go get that loan, it's there. So that's rent credits is what that's called.
Fantastic. Okay.
Yeah. So I could talk about another program too, but if you had questions around that.
No, you go.
So there is another program out there besides ours it's through like a Native American foundation or something.
Okay.
Where they'll work with lenders, and it's basically like an FHA program, 3.5% down. The downside is 6% additional fees are required to get into the program.
Ooh.
And they don't get any credit. Poof, that's gone. Where with ours, they've got to pay 10%, but they get all of that as a credit. So the benefit, though, with a program like that, when you're going and making an offer, especially in this market right now, you might be able to get seller concessions back because it's more of a buyer's market. And you can get the seller to kick back all or a good portion of that 6%.
Right.
It's still going away. You're losing that, but that's another option.
Okay.
Yeah.
If anything, that's why hopefully this encourages, it's great to do research and it's great to formulate a little bit of a plan and to consult with your friends, family, whoever you trust. But just reaching out to the right people will help. If we know the questions to ask, we'll figure out the best possible strategy for that specific situation. And I think that's the underlying message there is some of these scenarios can be so complex. There's no one size fits all solution for just everybody. So it takes getting on the phone, being vulnerable, setting the pride aside, because I have absolutely had the conversation with somebody who generates $1 million a year worth of revenue. That can make you feel really significant and maybe even create an ego. But then when you called the bank and they said, no, sorry, we can't help you get a house, now you're mad. And it really is defeating and it makes it hard to want to pick up the phone. The right people have zero judgment. They're more solution focused than they are problem focused. And so we just understand what questions that need to be asked to uncover the real need and then piece those puzzle pieces together to find the ultimate picture that would lead somebody to getting their goal. It's just usually not found in the means that everybody thinks that it should be found. Somebody putting 30% down, they can do that, but then they're leaving the financing in place on the boat and the car and the motorcycle and the RV that they have. And so those payments are costing them twice what it would cost if you just said, you know what, I'm not going to put that money down. I'm going to go get rid of the debt that's consumer debt and just borrow more on the mortgage, and my actual budget's even better. So that is a great way to, I guess, maybe bring us to an end. We're right at 30 minutes. I don't want to take up your whole day with this, but you have some books out there, and I would imagine there's some absolute gold in between the cover and the back of that book. What's your best recommendation for us?
I've written, I think it's the last 5 editions of the Colorado Real Estate Investing Strategies book.
Okay.
It's a curated book, so there's multiple people that contribute to that specific one, and all of the information applies to whatever market, really.
Okay.
It's not specific to Colorado. Our numbers might be different, but those are all on Amazon. Yeah, I'll leave my Linktree partner with James Brown. I've got links to all of that stuff. And if somebody wants to reach out, has questions about any of this stuff from any side, if you're like an agent, a lender, an investor, or want to do rent to own yourself, reach out. I'm here to answer questions because I realize, like you were saying, I do this all the time, been doing it for years. So it just kind of rolls off my tongue.
For sure.
But getting your head around it from the outside, need somebody to kind of walk you through the steps. So I'm happy to do that. If I can help, I'll help.
Ever-changing market. And I mean, it seems like Denver continues to grow. You've got the foothills region, and I don't know how far your reach expands. Do you have boundaries?
Nope. I do deals anywhere in the U.S.
Okay.
As long as the numbers work. Yeah.
That's beautiful. Well,
yeah.
Doesn't hurt to be connected to a man that is connected as James, specifically if you are in Colorado, looking for strategies. Highly recommend him. James, any favorite quotes as we close it out, or encouragement for that person who's like 1 to 3 properties? They're not brand new, but they're still trying to figure out how to scale. Love to get either a quote and a mindset, whatever it is there, and maybe something that encourages that early stage investor.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, just start with one and just keep building and not take your eye off the ball.
Okay.
I would say I'm wanting to build out my network of other agents in every different market and lenders in those markets that want to make this a niche of theirs, or at least a major tool in their belt. Like I said, for me, I'm in Colorado. I'm a realtor and I do regular transactions, but I also do co-living and rent to own. But having a network, boots on the ground is super key. Like, I'm not licensed in other areas, so I'm building that. So if anybody's interested in getting on board and building something cool, because like I said, 2 of the big companies that were nationwide, had huge funds behind them, poof, they are gone. So there's this huge need to fill with people that need this. So
okay,
let's go.
Sounds like you do it right. Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you again for coming on today, and we will see you next time.
Thanks for tuning in to Invested Souls.
We hope you found our insights valuable and feel inspired to elevate your real estate and relationship goals.
If you enjoyed the episode, please subscribe, rate, and leave us a review. Your feedback means a lot to us.
Follow us on social media for more tips and updates, or visit bradandjamieflanagan.com. And to find out more about our Real Estate Wealth Accelerator, don't hesitate to reach out.
Until next time, keep investing in your future and nurturing your relationships.
Thanks for listening to Invested Souls.